Namaste, angels. Sorry I have been gone. Thank you to all of you who checked in on me, sent me donations, posted on my Facebook, asked me when I was coming back, sent me emails. I mean, I really appreciate it. I showed my daughters, and they were like, "Oh wow!" Because one of my daughters, she does videos and stuff too, usually on Twitch, not YouTube. It's like gaming stuff. Um, and we were talking about like when she doesn't do a video, she's surprised by how many people are like, "Where are you?" And then the same thing happens to me. So I appreciate it. I'm okay. I've been okay. It was Mercury retrograde, although it was in shadow. Messing with my computer. One of my computers is with the manufacturer. The other one, which is much newer and fancier, something was going on with the sound. The last couple of videos that I did do and share with you guys, the sound was all over the place. So I had gotten a microphone and I never even got to plug it in. Like I have no idea what I did what the hell I did with this microphone. So I was just like, oh, I'm not gonna try to do another video without the microphone. So I bought another microphone that I'm using now. Hopefully it's working. And in the meantime, I was busy like in my personal life, my not my personal, well, yeah, I guess my personal life, not my personal life as in like romance or anything like that or my family, but I'm like on a few boards. I have an elected office in New York, in Manhattan, and so I was charged with helping to nominate Supreme Court judges to the New York bench, and that's what I spent my time doing. And thankfully and luckily, like the efforts they paid off. We appointed three, you know, open-minded, very smart, very qualified people to the New York Supreme Court. So two of them were actual friends of mine, and one is not really a friend, but like an associate. But we have a mutual friend in common, and they're best friends since high school. So three people that I trust are now on the New York bench, and happy about that. So that's what I've been doing. All right, enough about me. I'm gonna do. I think I'm gonna cover. Am I gonna cover a week or 2 weeks? Let's see. All right, I'll do a week. Um, I've also been away like this whole time I've been traveling. It's like in August, a lot of the boards and stuff and organizations, nonprofits, and all those things, they go on vacation for August. So, and the elected officials in my area and stuff, they were like, take their break in August. So everybody's away. So that's what I was doing. Closing out the summer. New York school doesn't start until after Labor Day. So, wait, drop the card. I'm gonna be doing some more of that, so maybe I'll do like the full moon and Pisces video from the beach. So we got our first card out for this week, and it is the World's card, most directly representing us. This could be having to do maybe with that full moon. Full moons do bring endings and closure to things. Also, we have Uranus going retrograde in Taurus. I'm holding up the card that's in the bottom, which is the Hierophant, because the Hierophant represents the sign of Taurus. Um, And that Uranus retrograde in Taurus is going to be a lot about. Okay, so when Uranus is in retrograde, is in Taurus in general, which it has been for like the past 2 years, and it will continue to be for like another 5 or 6 years. A big focus of it is like finances, money, and stuff like that. But when it's in retrograde, rather than like money per se, the focus is worth, especially like our own self-worth and stuff. So something, spiritual could be going on here with the Hierophant. And maybe, something having to do with our own self-worth, the way that we value ourselves, and or relationships that we're in or that we'd like to be in. Okay. So that is that. Let's get another card. I'm using two decks. They're both like Rider-Waite style tarot. This one is the actual Rider-Waite tarot. And I mean, this one is, I forgot what this one is called. It's, I think it's called the Universal Tarot, but it's based on like, it's Rider-Waite style. All right, the card representing surrounding energy. That one's fine. Ace of Swords upright. Now we're going to start that business. First it was the sound. Now it's going to be not letting you see the card. All right, Ace of Swords upright. And speaking of self-worth, and spirituality. The bottom of this deck now, the High Priestess. So these are actually a pair. And this could be a divine union, maybe both very spiritual, or going through an additional awakening, or maybe even an initial awakening in some cases. I'm just thinking people doing going through an initial awakening. An initial awakening probably wouldn't be watching me, um, but it's possible, right? So we have the High Priest and the High Priestess, Taurus, and in this case, Gemini or water sign, um, most likely Pisces or Cancer, then Scorpio, like in that order, kind of. All right, so let's get a third card. Will represent our work and finance for the week, and it is Death. With death and the world already, I mean, something's definitely coming to an end. At least a cycle. Something is coming to an end and becoming something new, right? Transitioning into a new place. So with the world, for me, the world has always been, it's always felt like fire. Like the card even feels warm to me when I pick it up. So for me, I associate it with a karmic energy that is like fire, like so like Mars. Um, and again, Mars moves. Did I mention Mars moves into Libra, leaves Virgo and moves into Libra this week on the 28th, I think. I think it's the 28th or the 30th. Both of those dates are in my head. And on the same, might be the same day that Uranus goes retrograde in Taurus. Um, yeah, it might be the same day. Maybe those things happen on the 28th, and on the 30th is the full moon in Pisces. I think that's the case. And then something happens on that day too. I think Jupiter will be quintile or square. I don't remember. Don't start me to lying. But something, I think two things are happening on the 30th and two things are happening on the 28th. Anyway, um, but with full moon, with the world, with death, and possibly even with retrograde, right? Something coming to an end. But the world, like I said, it's always felt hot to me. So like Mars, Jupiter, I associated with those sorts of things, like karmic energy that we don't have control over. And it's similar to the tower for me, but the tower is abrupt, and the world rather sort of eases us out of one situation and into another one, in a slower way. Doesn't like just rush us into that new thing. Sometimes we could get impatient even, because threes can be about the need for patience. It is a three. Major Arcana card 21 equals three. So that's one thing. Also, the world for me is often representative of something, whether it's a job, a relationship, a living condition, or whatever, something that we've been in, like we've overstayed our welcome in that situation. And we know we have, like, there was a time that came up, and we know, like, I need to leave this situation. But we stayed, maybe familiarity. Why can't I talk? Why can't I talk? Maybe because Mercury's in retrograde, right? The communication planet. Uh, Familiarity, or, yeah, like we're just used to it. Comfort. The devil will let you know, right, rather than the one that you don't. Um, those sorts of things. So we stay in the situation, again, whatever it was, and now, like, the universe or God, whatever one believes, has waited long enough for us to leave that situation on our own, and we have not. So it's like, okay, well, you still, did good, kind of. You completed the task. You completed this karmic lesson. So now I'm going to remove you from it and put you in place for something new. Then we see we do have that energy of something new happening, because we have an Ace of Swords immediately following that world. And then we have death, which can be about endings similar to the world, as well as transformation. So it's still an ending, because it's something is changing, and it's no longer right. It's going to cease to exist in the way that it does now. It's going to exist in a new way. Grab the other deck, and we'll get a card for love and relationship. And pardon me if you can hear my phone go off. It is Twitter, it looks like, or X. It's X. Ooh, yikes. So with love, we got the devil upright. So somebody could be feeling really stuck to a situation, um, and or obsessing about a love interest or a partner. A Capricorn may be involved. I'm going to pull this other deck again to maybe get a clarifier. We'll get two cards for love. So the devil is our first one. And then we'll just pull out the Page of Swords. Page of Swords can sometimes be about affairs, can also be about communication. Somebody may have gotten a communication that they feel like they want to respond to, but they feel kind of stuck. They don't know how to respond. They could be afraid. All right, so since I started out talking about how Uranus and Taurus can be about money and the focus being money or finances and stuff. Even though Uranus is going retrograde this week, it's not retrograde yet. So I got to consider that too, and just the general energy. I think this world is talking mostly to people who are in a job situation or financial situation, which that could still be tied to a relationship. Like your finances could be intermingled with somebody else's, especially now that I'm looking at this devil again. I'm being reminded of that devil in the love placement. Your finances will be intermingled with somebody else's, and it's time for that to separate. Maybe you're married and it's time for you to separate or divorce. That could be what the devil is about too. Um, if that's not the case, but it doesn't have anything to do with love and relationship for you, again, I'm thinking it has to do with money and finances and your job. And it's either you're voluntarily thinking about leaving your job or actually leaving your job, or something could happen where you're forced out of your job. Maybe something happens at the job where they're forced to close, the job goes out of business. There's redundancy to many of your position. They bring in, maybe you're a cashier and they bring in a bunch of self what they call that, self checkout machines or something. So your job is over. Something like that. Because remember I was talking about the world for me being about the universe easing us out of a situation that we should have left ourselves already, and we know we should have. Like we knew that it was a dead end street, or the relationship was over, whatever it was, but we stayed in it. And, myself included, like no one is above this. I stayed married way too long, for example. I probably stayed in my old job way too long. I was there for 22 years. I should have looked for another job, and moved around and all that kind of stuff. So that's the type of thing I'm talking about. That's what's going on with this world. Something is ending in your life, whatever area of your life that it is, and you're being put into something new. And I think that that's why the Ace of Swords follows, even though this Ace of Swords is in the position of our surrounding energy. So it very well has to do with other people. Again, it could have to do with your job and your finances that are connected to your job, um, which may be changing. But the Ace of Swords tells us not to be afraid to take a leap if we know that something's better for us. So that could be another reason why maybe you are voluntarily leaving a job or leaving a relationship, leaving a circumstance, because you know that it's going to be a better circumstance for you, even if in the immediate it's going to be tough. Because again, you're intermingled with something, or you're relying on something or someone or whatever, be it your paycheck or your mate or whatever. Um, so with this Ace of Swords and this in the placement of the surrounding energy, I think because there's a new beginning there that is started by some sort of separation, whether it's separation from our job or separation from a mate or separation from a living condition or circumstance or situation. Maybe we move out of our family house or whatever it is. And so now we're on our own. It's taking a leap, and we got to figure out a new way to do this. All right. I'm not relying on my husband anymore. We're getting divorced. How do I pay my own bills? I'm not relying on my wife's half of the paycheck anymore, or I'm not relying on maybe you're the sole provider, you're the man or whatever, like old fashioned. But if you're divorcing, now you got to pay her, right? Because she's used to you taking care of everything. So now I got to live on what's left after alimony or after alimony and child support. or whatever the case is, right? So that's what the Ace of Swords is. It's telling you that you know your life is still going to be better for it because that situation was toxic, and had ended. Right, the karmic lesson had been learned, and it was long overdue for you to get out of it. So then we have this Ace of Swords, which is victory. Also, I mean, the world is supposed to be looked at as victory too, like completion of the karmic cycle. You know, yay you that you finished that. So we got two cards of success really also here, even if it doesn't feel like it necessarily, because again, something may be ending that you're used to, that you're relying on, that you're dependent on, that you codependent on, or whatever. Um, but some this it's going to make way for in the beginning. This can also be about, particularly if one is single and you're traveling, let's say, um, you may meet somebody in your travels, and there could be a new beginning there. In relationship, and that's true of the worlds and the Ace of Swords. Like I'm looking at them both at the same time. Um, but now taking the death in the position of work and finance into consideration, again, I'm switched back to the money aspect, because we're talking about the work and finance placement now. Something changing, something ending, you having to maybe get creative with your money, or maybe that Four of Pentacles that when I was looking through the cards, like somebody's holding on to something, maybe that was literally holding on to money, um, because you're going through these changes. Like I got to hold on to my to some cash too, and save that for a rainy day. That could be the case. Um, Also, I think with this death, this too is about a new beginning. So we got like three cards of very similar energy with the world, the Ace of Swords and Death. Because the Ace of Swords also not only is about a new beginning, but of all the aces, at least in my opinion, it's the only one that comes like after a challenge, right? It's like it comes after, it succeeds the Ten of Swords. So after you've been beaten down, after you've been betrayed, after you've been lied to, after you've been hurt, after you've been brokenhearted, whatever the case is, after you've been broke, not brokenhearted, but broke, right? Pockets empty. That energy, you finally met the end of that energy, right? The 10 and the cycle closed out, and here you are with the ace. So with the ace, it sometimes we get off to a rough start because we're coming off of that Ten of Swords. It's the only ace in the deck like that for me. Like the Ace of Cups is automatically about love and happiness and fulfillment and joy, right? Ace of Pentacles is automatically about a new beginning involving abundance and stuff. Ace of Wands is about travel, work, career, love, passion, on fire. This is the only one that comes with a little challenge. So sometimes it's like, the road ahead is still a little bit rocky, but it's still a victory nonetheless, and something that you should be looking forward to. So then again, we have the death. So three cards that are about endings, successful endings, victory. Please don't look at it negative, type of thing. And one of the things that the death card in the position of work and finance really points to is making sure that you're not thinking negatively and getting stuck in a rut, that you recognize it as one thing closing, one door closes, another one opens, like that saying. um that's exactly what it is. Also, it's representative here of Scorpio energy. So again, with the world, for me, it's fire. Then we have the Ace of Swords, we got some air, and then we move into water with the Scorpio, with the death. Now, like I said, somebody's job could be ending, whether voluntarily or because the company decides the job is ended. um or something could be happening with your finances where there is an ending and a transition and a change. Again, maybe you're used to splitting the bill with somebody, a roommate, a romantic mate, a family member, or whatever, and that is coming to an end. Um, for some, it could be because somebody actually passed away. Not that they passed away this week, like maybe they have already passed away, and now things are going to be different. Like that person used to chip in, and they're not here anymore. Um, and if that's the case, they may actually be a water sign themselves, maybe even specifically a Scorpio. Is also what I'm getting. I'm seeing a very nice service for them too, maybe even with horses. This is giving me like Louisiana. So I could be talking to one person possibly that Hopefully this, if this is meant for you, you get to see it. I'm seeing, like, like the whole thing, the horses, maybe even the carriage, just the second line, all of that. Um, to maybe with somebody that was it was their time because they had lived a full long life, and so it's more of a celebration than sadness, but it does change things, the dynamic, the financial dynamic for you or for your family in general, or something changes. Okay, so moving into love and relationship, again we have the devil. If it is um tied to a relationship, I mean, this is love and relationship. But if these other cards are tied to a relationship, then they're telling a story, again, to me altogether. It's the world. Your karmic cycle is ended. It's time for a new beginning, right? And there's an ending happening. It's with the relationship. There's going to be transformation, transition. Maybe you got to, not only cut ties physically, emotionally, but financially. Um, and the devil card in the position of love and relationship can certainly be about something like divorce or whatever. It can also, like I said, be about maybe the ending has already happened with someone. um the world is, again, a three, as I mentioned before, card number 21, a three. Maybe a third party situation has ended, so the person was with a mate, your soulmate, your twin flame, whatever, um spiritual partner, like the high priestess and the high priest. Like I said, they were, a dynamic duo, a divine union. So your person, in your own divine union, maybe had been partnered with somebody else, or maybe you had, or maybe both of you had, and then that's ended now. So there's a new beginning, but you're all both trying to, again, get your stability, because yes, you've been, living with somebody or depending on somebody or whatever, and now so there's changes in your finances. So you got to get your house in order, so to speak, and maybe you're literally getting your house in order, because of these kinds of changes. Maybe you're finding a new place and all that kind of stuff. Um, and so in love, this devil could again be representative of that separation, or could also be a representative of them or you now, particularly because it's retrograde season. Um, now, how do you say, sort of obsessing over your person and trying to figure out how to get to them, really, really wanting to communicate with them, being fearful of rejection. They may say, "Get the hell out of here," because you picked somebody else over me. Um, and that's what you're worried about. You're trying to figure out a way, how can I break through and communicate with this person? And that's why the Page of Swords shows up here. For some, you may have actually um, actively been dealing with both people. Like you had somebody and this other person, and it was an affair. Because again, the Page of Swords can be representative of an affair. They're saying Steve Harvey's wife, like what goes around comes around. He got her, he took her from her man, right? And now it's saying that she's, and he left his wife. He dropped his wife and kids, his first family, like a hot potato, according to them. They don't speak to him, or he doesn't speak to them, or whatever. Just really cut ties with his family. Built a whole new family with this other woman, who he'd taken from her man, who was this drug dealer or something that's in jail. I mean, don't stop me the line, but this is what I remember of it. And um, she's been with him all this time, and now supposedly she's cheated on him with her bodyguard and her chef, I think they said, and she got caught, and so supposedly their relationship is over. Um, like what goes around comes around, like the world. So it could be something like that too for somebody. Not necessarily that scenario, but something coming full circle, or something that you did was karma. Your karma has played out, and so now it's the end of that karmic lesson. But this is the situation that's happening. You did something to somebody else, it's coming back to you in some kind of way, is also a possibility. But again, you're successfully closing out that cycle. um so physical health and the magician, and with the magician in comes the Gemini energy. So again, we got our fire, which could be Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. or karmic, right? Energy in terms of Mars, Jupiter affecting us. Then we have our Ace of Swords that did bring in the air energy, Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. Then we had Death with specifically Scorpio. Then the Page of Swords, Gemini, Libra, Aquarius with the Devil, Capricorn. And now we have the Magician, which is specifically Gemini of the air we've been seeing, followed by the Page of Pentacles in that spiritual placement, spiritual health, um, Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn. All right, so the Magician is a very positive sign. Up, I laid him upright, and then I determined that he probably should be upright, right, based on those other cards that were positive and happy. So I'm going with that. Um, and since the other cards have been about endings, it makes sense with him upright because what the Magician says about physical health is if you've had some sort of ongoing health situation, or if you haven't been feeling well, right? So it doesn't have to be that you have some sort of chronic disease or illness. Maybe you just, you had a cold for a week. You just haven't been feeling well. You haven't been feeling yourself. That's what's coming to an end is, that feeling poorly. If you do have some sort of chronic illness or disease and you don't feel like, um, I don't want to say like you don't feel like you're getting better, but if it's something that's ongoing that's not going to be cured completely, it's possible that you could benefit from some other like alternative kind of therapy or treatment, right? Because the Magician is that he's an alchemist, right? Mixing stuff up. So maybe like acupuncture or massage would be good for you, or herbs, some other kind of medicine, or crystals, or some sort of spiritual healer, energy healer, like what I like Reiki or like what I do, or different people do different things. Salt baths, I don't know. Some kind of alternative treatment could be what helps you. But if you don't, if you're not chronically ill and you don't need that, or you don't feel necessarily that you need that, then if you've just not been feeling well, not feeling yourself, the Magician says you can expect to feel better. Now, moving on to the Page of Pentacles, this is about sort of improving your spiritual health, like, getting more into maybe new modalities like massage and acupuncture, like looking into what excites you, what would make you happy, what's piquing your interest in the realm of spirituality. Is it tarot? Is it crystals? Is it energy healing? Is it Reiki? And go out and maybe get some or study some or try some, practice some, try to do it yourself, those kinds of things. That's what the Page of Pentacles is saying. Now, but I can't help but look at the Magician and the Page of Pentacles in terms of this love story that was playing out with this ending and this new relationship that is probably going to get to a start, but maybe a slow start because it's the world, not the tower. Um, Somebody could be coming. They may not be coming to you this week, but again, they're trying to figure out how they can. I'm getting this is probably the masculine. Let me pull a couple other cards too, but especially with this two of cups on the bottom of one deck, the chariot on the bottom of the other, his movement here. Somebody could be moving out, moving away. Let's see what's behind this chariot. Oh, it's like stuck together. Very interesting. The chariot, for some reason, it's got something funky on it. I feel it here. But it was stuck to strength and the Six of Cups. So it could be something involving a Leo, or again a Gemini with the Six of Cups. Gemini representative of children and siblings and all that kind of stuff. So I get that energy with that. Or a soulmate. Somebody, some soulmate, um, represented by the Six of Cups, or someone from your past. And again, this person could be, moving out of their home or out of their relationship or completely moving to a new town. Maybe something having to do with job. Okay, your job here is ending, they're moving to another state for a job. It means a collective reading. I'm getting a lot of things, for different people. But somebody could be like transferring to a new location because the location where they were is ending. And I feel like felt like they should have left that location before and they didn't. And so now, again, they're being eased out of that. But I did want to like pull a couple. What else can you tell us about this love situation? This devil and this page of swords. What else? What we got? Something fell out face down. Something. I got the other deck now. Okay, I'll take two cards from this one too, because two came out of the other one. Okay. What else can we share with us about this scenario? There we got two. Oh wow. So now we go from having the two of cups in the bottom of the deck to the four of wands. The judgment behind it. Judgment again can be about second chances. If it's not about sex, so again, maybe an ex returning or something. It's the season for that, right? Retrograde season. If it's not about somebody coming back, it could be about like you again, you completed a karmic lesson, so like you did the work that the universe put before you. So the universe recognizing you for that and paying you off for that. Like abundance that's earned is what the judgment card often represents for me. Look at the star here. So it's like a wish fulfillment, or a wish being granted, or then you being something positive coming to you. So that's with that deck. The bottom of the other deck, after I shook out the two cards, we ended up with the Ace of Pentacles. So what else can they tell us about this situation? Well, somebody has made a decision. And again, I think that decision is to come towards you, but they are very anxious about it. They really feel like they messed something up. They probably feel like they owe you an apology with this Page of Pentacles. Um, they may have, I don't know, the camera had apparently stopped and I was talking. I don't know where that happened. But let me recap quickly what I had said about the other cards. So from one of the decks, we ended up with the two of wands. I'm sorry, swords in reverse. So somebody's made a decision about something. I think the decision again is to reach out to you, to communicate, to figure out a way to get through to you. They are very afraid of doing this. This is the other card that came out, the Nine of Swords. So they're very afraid. They're very anxious about reaching out to you. Very likely someone from your past, possibly even someone that you consider a soulmate or someone who considers you a soulmate. They may have just come to this realization and again, there's some sort of awakening. They may feel like they treated you like crap in the meantime and they owe you an apology now, but they want this new beginning with you and maybe even some sort of commitment. But not so fast. Again, this is the world, so it's a slower energy. And they've just probably gotten out of a commitment where they were, betrayed, hurt, or, all the above. Um, Now being guided to pursue their dreams, however, like that's ended. And it's time for a brand new, leap of faith, brand new start, fresh beginning. So we got this emperor. We got this emperor. Okay, they're both showing up here because this was very possibly a married man or somebody who, married man, but it could be, of course, a female, a divine masculine that's a female. Um, they don't have to actually be married, but it's very possible they were married and or they have children. They have a family. They were established in some way. Um, and something ended, and so it's time for a new beginning. Um, After this victory of finishing out the cycle. So again, we have him showing up in both decks, and we have brand new opportunities showing up in both decks. This Page of Wands, not only a new opportunity, but it could be indicative of finishing something you started a while back. And if it has to do with a job, maybe you applied for a job and you never finished the application, you never went for it, um, you gave up on it, or you thought about it, the idea, or you still thought about starting your own business, you didn't do it, it could be that, or if it has to do with a relationship, maybe you guys got off to a start, you never finished it, or you dated years ago, been wanting to get back together, you never have. It reminds me of that Jagged Edge song about getting married. Let's finish this something we started so long ago. Never knew we'd make it this far, you know. And so if you had a relationship before that wasn't reciprocal, now it will be. And somebody may realize that they've been selfish, they've been withholding, and now they're ready to come rushing in, right, to change that, to be different about that, and to communicate, collaborate, work together. We see you as this very powerful, being, maybe a little witchy. They may not have trusted you completely before. They may have thought you were working some sort of roots or something on them. They don't feel that way anymore, right? You have the Empress, so they're viewing you in a new light, and this is justice. So this could also be due to the Mars and Libra transit. Mars again leaving Virgo, moving into Libra, restoring balance and bringing justice, right? Where things had been wrong, you'd been wronged, maybe you'd wronged someone, whatever the case is, those things being settled, the score being even, the playing field being evened. But it will be real. Ultimately, it will be cause for celebration, reason to be happy, and will result in abundance, even if you don't see that immediately. Because again, this can take some time, possibly for some. This can take some patience, possibly for some, with this world energy. But some of us definitely getting out of a job, out of a living situation, out of a relationship, it's ending. Maybe it takes, if it is a divorce, for example, you might be moved out of the house, you might be in another state, but maybe it's not final yet. You got to wait for those actual legal papers. With justice, that could be the papers showing up. So maybe they'll show up, within the next couple of weeks or so. For some of us, after, not some of us as in me, because my divorce is long since final. But some of us who are watching and who are experiencing these things. Those of you who have enjoyed this reading, you find it helpful. I will be back for the full moon in Pisces. I might be live from the beach, but I'll be back. Namaste.